I want to start a new series of talks about leaving a legacy with your life. And what I got to thinking about it, and then I thought, well, maybe it's a wrong title. Maybe it's the wrong way to phrase it. So let me explain, and then you can call it whatever you want. But no matter what, you're going to leave a legacy. You're going to leave a trail with your life, for good or for bad. So I don't want you to think of this series as like you got to go home and think about a bunch of things that you want to be remembered as. In other words, it's not about worrying so much about what people think about you. Let's not think of it that way. But let's think of it this way. Your life is going to leave like footprints. And people can look at the footprints and see what your life was about. But it's deeper than that. Because your footprints somehow affect other people. And that's what I want us to think about. Hebrews chapter 11. This is, if you're not familiar with the Bible, one of the challenges of starting a church for people that don't go to church is a lot of people don't know what's in the Bible, which is fine because happy to try to help. But I also realize that some people are rolling their eyes like I learned this like in first grade. Either way, how many know we can all go somewhere here? Hebrews chapter 11. It's kind of like a listing of all these, maybe you would call them heroes of faith, but all of these people who lived their life by faith. And he says, by faith we understand the universe was formed at God's command. By faith, Abel offered a better sacrifice than Cain. So you remember, if you do know the story, Adam and Eve, their first children were Cain and Abel. And they both offered sacrifices. Cain was a farmer, the older brother, worked the ground. Abel, the younger one, worked the flocks. And they both brought offerings to God. But somehow, Cain's offering was not acceptable, but Abel's offering was acceptable. And so it says, by faith, he offered a better sacrifice. By faith, he was commended as a righteous man when God spoke well of his offerings. I just want you to think about that. God speaking well of your offerings. Every day that you get up, you're making an offering. You know, if you've been to church for a while, they call that what we just did, the offering time, right? But it's way deeper than that. Every day you get up, you make an offering. You offer your life to something, somebody, every single day. Every day you're spending your life on something. So by faith, he offered a better one, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but this is the sentence I want you to lock in on. And by faith, he still speaks. Everybody say, he what? Still speaks, even though he's dead. What does that mean? That means that his life left a legacy. Still speaks. Anybody have someone's life that still speaks to you? I'm not even talking about like in an audible way, but it's just, man. So yesterday, my aunt told me that Grandma's house is up for sale and it's all cleaned out, and just wanted to kind of let me know, which I appreciated. And I asked her, could I come down and see it one more time before someone's buying it? She said, sure. So we loaded up yesterday and drove down to Grandma's house just to see her house. Just because I had to see it before someone else took it over, repainted it or whatever they did. I just had to see it. I had to see all the things. A lot of things are missing because it's all been sold, but, Charlie asked, where's the cuckoo clock, Aunt Carol? And I'm like, well, my cousin Matt got the cuckoo clock, and all his kids used to, watch the cuckoo clock. And then we played in the laundry chute, which we did as kids, from my grandma's bathroom to the basement. My grandpa built a laundry chute, Anybody remember those days? Played like forever in the laundry chute. She was upstairs opening the door, screaming down, now you come up, Dad, and I'll go down. And we switched, and we went. And she played and played in the laundry chute. And that made me feel so good because that's what I did as a kid. But why did I have to go? It's a long drive. I got to thinking on the way home, why did I have to go? I had to. Because somehow my grandparents made a mark on me. They made a mark. And not only did I, of course, go to her funeral and everything, I just had to go see her house one more time before. Why? Because she left a mark. And the thing that you have to realize is, now Grandpa's been gone for a while, now Grandma's gone, they're still speaking. How do they speak? They speak with their life, the way they lived their life. It still speaks. What happens is you leave a trail behind. And then I got to thinking about this, and I thought, yeah, that's perfect. My grandma and grandpa, before they could afford to get a paved road, I guess, or a paved long driveway, they had a real long driveway. They had a 2-track. How many remember the 2 tracks? I'll show you a 2-track right here. I got one for you. All right? This is a 2-track, works like this. You just start driving in the grass, right? And then you drive, and you drive again, and then you drive again, and then you drive again, and then drive again. And it doesn't look like that at first. It just looks like the grass got pushed over. How many know what I'm talking about? And then you keep going on the same place over and over and over again. This is what Grandpa's driveway looked like. It was a 2-track forever. Pull the pickup up there, and then you back it up all the way out when you're leaving. Your life is a 2-track. You're leaving ruts. Your routines turn into ruts. And I want to explain this a little bit because there's an interesting scripture in Exodus that gets people a little twisted around, but it's very important for what we're talking about. Let me read it for you. God says, I lavish unfailing love, which we sang about today. Oh, how he loves us. Isn't that good? It's the legacy. God loves us. For 1,000 generations, I forgive iniquity and sin. He says, but I do not excuse the guilty. This is so deep. So it all starts with God's ridiculous love. But I lay the sins of the parents, ready, on their children and their grandchildren. Now, pause here and look. Later on, and by the way, that's why if you want to become a Bible student or you want to really read the Bible, you got to read a lot of it. You got to spend a little time. You got to let a couple things marinate. Have you ever worked with somebody that knew just enough, as they call it, just enough to be dangerous? They screwed up a lot of stuff in your office. Just enough to be dangerous. A lot of Christians that know just enough Bible to be dangerous. Like, for instance, you could read that verse and say, oh, well, see, they call it like a generational curse. Like, if you did something, then this person's cursed for it, and that God's judging this person because of something great-grandpa did. And you have to go on and read, like in Ezekiel, where he talks about a person is responsible for their own life and their own sin, not somebody else's. So it gets cleared up later. Get it? But what does this mean? Let me read a little bit more. Upon their children and their grandchildren, the entire family is affected. This isn't about God being mad at a grandchild for what grandpa did, but they are affected. There is no way around that. They're affected. 2 generations from now are going to be affected by the things that you do today. Your routines turn into ruts. You know something about a 2-track? Let me tell you something about a 2-track. If you go up and down Grandpa's driveway before they paved it, enough times, pretty much you can steer yourself. You can let go of the wheel. What will it do? It'll find the grooves. What do your kids do? They find the groove that you left for them. Why do children become alcoholics if parents are alcoholics? They find the groove. It's like you try to go, you pull the wheel this way, and what does the tire do? Pulls you right back in the groove. Anybody ever try to break out of a family cycled sin? So it'll work. It's a little work. Okay? Now, we're not here to whine about it, but we're here to know about it. There's a difference. Hello? There's a difference. I want to whine about it. Whining gets you so far in life. You know, you get so many friends. Everybody loves to be around a whiner. What does it do? It doesn't do you anything. But awareness helps. Okay. All right, here's a track. So some of you got some really nice tracks laid for you. Good for you. God love you. Honestly, isn't that amazing? Which is why we don't judge. Another reason. Somebody woke up and, man, somebody laid a nice pair of tracks for them, and it's pretty comfortable to just stay in that groove. Boy, is this true or what? And some people will fight their whole life to get out of a rut that their grandpa laid down and put their dad into and put them into. Okay, but it's worth the fight to get out of the rut. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Your legacy is the 2-track. It's the groove that other people will follow in. It's what speaks to you beyond, even when you're gone, it still speaks. The question is not really, will you leave a legacy? The question is only, what kind of legacy will you leave? That's the only question. What do you want it to be? And the thing to think about is, just like this 2-track, it's just the stuff that you regularly do. I meet a lot of people that want to make all this change in one big minute. Like, it just doesn't work that way. It's just a place you go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, you could say, I want to be known for a guy that was generous and worked at the soup kitchen, but your car always takes you to MGM Casino. I know you want to be known for that, but, you know, she knows the way. It's like a horse. You're laying down tracks. That's what you're doing. And you're either staying nicely in the tracks that were laid for you, or you're fighting like crazy to get out of the tracks that somebody laid for you. All of those are true. But what we have to realize and recognize is the power of it. The power of what was laid in front of you and the power of what you're laying down. Now here's the good news. You can get out of that hump. You just hold on to that wheel and fight it. Are you with me? There was a sign out on these roads in the Alaskan wilderness, and it said, "Be careful what rut you choose. They last for 2,000 miles." You know, out when they don't have roads. I mean, once you pick a lane, you're there. And you have to think about this. What lane are you going to pick? What path are you going to choose? And the sooner, if you need to get out of a family legacy, the sooner that you make that decision and crank on that wheel, the better. The sooner, the better. Then what happens is people keep following the same one, and the same one, and the same one, and the rut gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Recognition is the key. The thing to also think about is, I used to always say this when I was in youth ministry. It's not what's taught, it's what's caught. You can be up there, blah, 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 blah. But people catch something from you. Just like you can catch a cold from somebody. What do they catch? I mean, you could be saying, but what do they catch? They catch you. They catch your spirit. They catch the essence of who you are, how you live. And spirits reproduce. John chapter 3, I think it's verse 6, Jesus says, flesh gives birth to flesh, and spirit gives birth to spirit. So people will catch your spirit. You literally pass it on. When Jesus left, it says he breathed on them, John 20, and they received his spirit. Literally, what you're doing with your legacy is you're breathing on this generation. You're breathing on your children. You're giving your spirit to them. What spirit do you want to give? I think one of the things that we should think about with this track that we're laying down is that your children will be blessed if you lay down a nice road for them. And let me sort of digress, but I think it's definitely related. We live in a world where everybody wants, well, they'll use the word freedom, but freedom can mean a lot of things, but they want multiple options. Like, I don't want to be boxed in at all. So, like, now if you invite someone over, hey, you want to come over for a barbecue? You know, like if they're like, I don't know, 19 or under, they go, sure, probably. And basically what that means is, if nothing better comes along, save me a seat. But I want options. I mean, because your thing might be lame, and I'm me, you know, I got things coming in my inbox. And so we want options, so we don't commit. And it's kind of funny, but it's kind of actually deeply, deeply tragic. Because it's actually true. That's why you laughed. Everybody wants maximum options. I don't want to be locked into anything. I don't want to get locked into church. I don't want to get locked into religion. I don't want to get locked into the... So the funny thing is, Jesus says, the narrow path leads to life. People tell me what to do. Who got a little rebel in them? Who went down the rebel path for a while? I want people telling me what to do. Pastors are a bunch of hypocrites anyway. So I want why. I don't want a path. I want just the open field. Now, this is really something to think about. All of what are the words that are like buzzwords now with the young generation? Anxiety, depression, blah, blah, blah. Am I close? I mean, I didn't even know these words existed when I was in high school. I'm old. It's part of the 25th anniversary. I'm old. It's official. But I didn't know these words existed. Now, look, I'm not casting aspersions on anybody's children or anybody's medical diagnosis, okay? So don't email me. But listen, this stuff wasn't heard about. It just wasn't. And I'm not blaming them. I'm saying what happened is we went, just pick anything. You can... Okay, you'll probably email me for this one. Don't tell your kids you can be anything you want. They can't be anything they want. you're going to be so mad at me. They can't. I'm not saying don't tell them to try hard and shoot for your dreams. I'm not saying that. But some of them are uncoordinated. They're not going to be an Olympic athlete. You're uncoordinated, son. I mean, don't tell them right out of the gate. Give them some time. No, is it helping? You can do anything. Now, I get the spirit of it. I get the spirit, right? Like, go for your dreams. You can do this and that. But what we've done is we've just put this big, wide open thing for them, and they don't know where to go, what to do. They don't know what school to go to. They don't know they have no clue. They're disoriented and confused and discouraged, and they use these words, depression and anxiety. Why? Because I could go here, I could go here, I could go here. I might do this. Just give them a track. Let's go down that road for a while. And if the Holy Spirit leads you to take a turn, then take one. Otherwise, here we go. Get your butt up. We're going to church. I'm not sure if butt technically violated any biblical commands or not, but that's how my grandma's generation they grew up. You can say they were false with it. They were too restrictive. Okay. I get it that at some point they might want to try their own thing or might want to diverge over. I get all of that. That's fine. But what's happened is it's just become this malaise of whatever. And they're struggling. Here's the track. Let's go. Get up. Let's go. What did they do 3 generations ago? 3 generations ago, what did you do for a living? Whatever your dad did. That's what you did. You don't have to think about it, stress about it. What am I going to do? You're going to get your rear end up, and you're going to follow Dad around. And then when he keels over, you just keep doing it. I'm close. I'm not saying options are horrible. I'm just saying, you see what, it's gone so far. Jesus goes, narrow is the path that leads, broad is the path that leads to what? So what do? You start them narrow. You start narrow. Yeah, you can broaden off here, make a little wide turn there. Of course, as you get mature and you're ready to handle it. I mean, kids it's not, you can ask a psychologist, it is not healthy to give a kid too many options when they're young. Here you go, you're going to bed. Here you go, you're getting up. Here you go, you're going here. You can tell them that it's disorienting to them. And all you are is just a little overgrown kid. You need that track. Here's our track. Is Orchard Grove like a perfect track? No, it has nothing to do with it. You're not going to find one, by the way. But what you can do is get yourself locked into something. Like, this is what my life's going to be about. It's going to be about faith. It's going to be about my relationship with God. It's going to be about family. It's going to be about all of these things. And then you get in that lane and you take on a challenge. I'm going to sum it up for you. Over-optioned and under-challenged. No load on their shoulder, but the whole field to run. Why are they anxious and depressed and worried? Because what did I get? Can you move the semi for me? Move the semi, Dad. I have no clue how to drive a semi. You just shift it. Anybody know what a split shifter is in a semi? Dad, I don't know how to drive a semi truck. You'll figure it out. Anybody ever try? These air seats. I mean, the first thing that happens is you push the pedal down and it throws you back like this. And then you recoil from the air shock of the seat, and then it thrusts the gas down again. And you start going like this when you're not big and strong enough to, I can't drive a semi. He's like, you'll figure it out. Who had a little bit of you'll figure it out growing up? Too many options, not enough responsibility. too wide of a road. No bad intentions on anyone's part, right? Is that a bad intention? I want you to do whatever you want. You can go here, you can be. I get it, to a degree. Oh, that's okay, I'll carry it for you. Man, how many times have I been guilty of this, Like, see Charlie struggling, I want to carry it for her. How many know she needs to struggle? She went around the block the other day at her little pink bike, little tassels, little bell, ding, ding, little training wheels. And then she got tired, She got tired. All right, Dad, I don't want this. She gets off. What's the implication? I'm done. You bring the bike home. And then she gets off. Mom says, no, you push it home. So you ever watch like a 5-year-old like trying to push a bike with training wheels sticking out and a pedal here, and clunk, clunk, and tripping? And it's very difficult to watch. How many know it's easier to just pick it up and go home? But they need the what? They need the struggle. Look at me. You pick up the heaviest thing you can. You need a lane, and you need some weight on your shoulders. You pick up the heaviest thing you can. You take some responsibility. Take some ownership. The heaviest thing you can. That's called carrying your cross. Sit around and watch other people work and do things and figure out how you could play more video games. You get up, you put that thing on your shoulder, and you carry the heaviest thing you can. You take as much responsibility as you can in the world. So, oftentimes I fail at this, right? But I was probably worked up getting ready for this message. So I'm like, I'm going to prove that to Charlie this morning. So she gets her, I don't always remember, but I remember to give her a little offering money, So when they go into the kids' world, they give to the kids in Uganda, right? Got to teach them. But I don't want to come out of my pocket. Is anybody with me? So Charlie, you get up here and you put the silverware away. Anybody with me? Put the silverware away to earn the money to give to the kids in Uganda. What's the difference? Because it doesn't matter. It's just money. It doesn't matter. It matters. You get something on your shoulder. We're taking all the responsibility away. We're getting all the options. And we're dealing with the consequences. Somebody sent me an article this week written by an agnostic that was essentially calling people back to church. And she started her article by saying, I'm agnostic, and I cheered watching the decline of the church in America. It made me feel good. Like, yeah, stick it to those guys with the hypocrites and this and that. I love to see it declining until I realized how wrong I was. How badly people need a Christian community. Where else are you going to find that? Written by an agnostic. Our world is increasingly lost. You remember Jesus, Palm Sunday, riding into Jerusalem, weeping? He says, there's sheep without a shepherd. He's weeping over the whole city. He's coming from the Mount of Olives. It's like he's got an elevated view. And you could see as he was descending down, he could look over the whole city. And he was just crying. They're lost. Lost. We got to do something for this generation. Increasingly lost, without a shepherd. Disconnected from their relationship with God. God's right there for them, but they're disconnected. They're not hearing it. This guy was telling a story the other day. He said, I used to walk out of my office every day in a very, very busy city, and you hear all the clang and the clamor of all the noise. And then one particular night, he had to go out in the middle of the night, and he heard a sound he had never heard before. He said, that sounds like running water. He listened carefully, walked towards it, get closer and closer, and he never realize that there was an underground stream right where he was. And he never knew it was there because of all the other ambient noise. It was always there. Do you know what? A lot of these people are lost because they can't hear the stream. It's there. The relationship with God's always there, but they can't hear it. There's too much other noise, too much other stuff barking at them. We need to do something for this generation. I want to dedicate the next 25 years, should God be so good, to reaching the next generation. That's what we got to do. We got to lay down some tracks for them. We got to show them, there you go, that's where you go. Follow that one. We got to lead them back to faith.